So it's been a while since I posted. I've been really busy getting this thing tuned and trying to get everything dialed in. It is running. I had it out for a drive last weekend and kind of fine-tuned the tuning on it. Took me a while to get it to the point where it would start. Initially, we thought we had a timing issue, which we probably did. I had the ignition timing set at right about 11 degrees before top dead center right now, and it can go probably up to 16 at idle without vacuum, but that's something I still need to play around with. I could probably squeeze a little more power out of it through the timing. But once I got it to the point where it would run and everything, it was good. I took it out last weekend. We did a tune on it. Throttle response is good. It was a lot of fun to drive. It was a night and day difference between the carbs. Throttle response was a lot better. It definitely felt like it had more power. I'm going to guess just by seat of the pants, maybe around 15 more horse. It was a lot of fun. I also changed the transmission fluid, which I think I talked about, but this is what I used. And it's shifting a lot smoother, and some of the downshifts were a lot smoother too. So I don't know what was in there before, but that seemed to have cleaned up a little bit, and I'm feeling more confident with the transmission. So one weird issue I did run into, I had this really weird whistle that initially was at idle, and then that went away. And I thought I had it fixed. But then when we went out and drove it, as we were driving around, it would just start to do it. It almost sounded like a turbo, but louder, but it was kind of annoying. So I started doing some research and found out that a lot of Ford, at least the aftermarket throttle bodies, get a whistle to them through the intake air control valve, the IACV. So that's what this is right here. I have it installed, but not actually hooked up. It's just a placeholder down there. And what I did was, you have to cut a gasket that fits between the air control valve and the throttle body. That basically doesn't allow air to go through there, because if you do, they're going to have a lot of issues with basically too much air going into the throttle body. And I don't think that micro squirt supports an idle air control valve, but maybe someone could correct me on that. So I came up with, I think, what's the beginning of a solution. So what I figured out was there's little slits in the throttle body. If you look, so that piece of tape there is covering up basically the intake for the idle air control. And if I open up the throttle plate, which is that gold piece, you can see that little slit there in the back. That green piece of paper is the gasket between the throttle body and the manifold. But what I did was I took a Dremel and I rounded off all the sharp edges that were on there. It had really sharp edges from the casting. So what I think was happening was air was running over those sharp edges and basically creating a whistle, kind of like a Helmholtz effect, like when you blow over the top of a bottle. So it seems to have, just playing around with it in the garage, it seems to have, it hasn't completely stopped it, but it's definitely made it manageable. So hopefully that's a permanent fix. I'm going to do a video here on converting to that GM alternator as well. I'll get that out shortly. One other issue I ran into, which isn't that big of a deal, was my brand new 205 size tire will no longer fit in the trunk. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. I think I can go with like a 185, an older type tire that'll be about the same size, and that should get us through. The problem is the differential's a limited slip, so you really can't have a different size tire on the back. So that's another set of issues we got to deal with. But the engine's actually warm right now because I was just running it and trying to adjust the whistle and the throttle body. So let me get the air filter put back on. I'll at least get a startup for you, a warm startup, and show you what it's like. Okay, here we go. This is a warm start. So you can hear the fuel pump spinning up. Temperature gauge is going to start to rise because it was already warm before. But transmission in neutral. So you can see what I was talking about when it's idling a little bit low when it's cold, but it should creep up here in just a second. and shut her off. So yeah, it's working really well. I'm really happy with it. If you would ask me, is it worth the money? I would say if you got the cash to spare, then yes. I had some weird issues. Like I got the oil tested before I started all this and found out that it had 5% gasoline in it, anywhere from 5 to 7%. So, which means either the fuel pump was leaking or the carbs were leaking back into the oil, which is bad for obvious reasons, and thinning out the oil. So, for me personally, I didn't really understand carbs all that well. And this I thought would just be a fun project anyway. So, and so far it has been. I mean, there's been frustrations, and a lot of that is really just ignorance on my part with learning this stuff. But it's been good, and it's been a good project, and I've enjoyed it. And if you're on the fence about it, I would say the performance gains are well worth it. I have no regrets so far, and I feel a lot more confident about the reliability of the car at the same time. So, short video today. That's going to wrap it up. Hopefully that's helpful for anyone thinking about that change, or if you have questions, let me know. Like I said, it's still a work in progress. It still needs more tuning. As you can tell, the cold start or the medium warm start wasn't exactly great, so I still need to work on that. But yeah, this will wrap it up. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.